Hi again. Could it be magic? Well, you'll have probably guessed by now that alongside solution focused therapy, badminton and curry, music's a big thing for me. So I thought I'd start with the Barry Manilow line. Could it be magic? Well, magic is kind of supernatural. It's making something appear, making some kind of superhuman, supernatural performance or act. And some people have subscribed solution focused therapy as being magic or magical. And bit of tongue in cheek, I don't really mind people saying that, but actually don't do yourself a disservice. The people I know that are best at solution focused work are people that have spent a long time honing their skill, um, adhering to the solution focused assumptions and principles, and working really hard at making solution focused work. So let's say it's not magic, it's not magical, but there is something different about it. But before we see what's different about solution focused work, let's kind of just pause for a moment and think about therapy world as a whole. And there are some 400 forms of therapy out there that are listed in BACP and BABCP and various other associations and Dr. Google articles and so on. So when we look at solution focused work, we have to recognize that it didn't fall out of a tree, but the Milwaukee Family Therapy Center obviously had some influences, people like Milton Erickson, the Mental Research Institute, and so on. Even the core fundamental miracle question in solution focused actually doesn't come from solution focus. Its roots can be traced back to the 30s and a guy called Alfred Adler, who said something along the lines in the 1930s of, and suppose no waved a magic wand and all the problems you've got disappeared. Uh, what would your life be like then? So that was there. We stick very much in solution focus to what the person we're seeing wants. And that's not, we don't have a monopoly on that. Certainly, Carl Rogers did some significant work around that in the 70s. Um, and just while I'm on that, so I'm talking about the person we see. I've become a little bit jaded with the word client, service user, customer, and all of those things. Really, we talk about people. We see people. We see people in the therapy room. We see people in different settings for coaching, for education, social work, OT, and so on. So I'm just going to try and say the people we see rather than clients. I may slip up, but that's a personal piece of work I'm trying. So, being as that we recognize that other therapies exist and other therapies are effective, there's plenty of evidence for that. What makes solution focused work so special, so different, so magical? Um, Firstly, I think we have to start with the view of the people we see. Um, we live in a problem focused world. We go to the dentist and say, I've got a problem with my tooth. Go to the doctor and say, I want to diagnose, I want some medication or whatever. In solution focused work, we have a view of somebody that is inherently competent, that are doing the best they can given any set of circumstances, that has the capability and ability to articulate, sometimes with a little bit of help, to articulate a preferred future, a desired outcome, a place they want to be rather than the place they are or were. And it's um, that idea of working on where somebody's going, the preferred future, rather than the problem past or present, but actually, I think, makes solution focus stand out a little. The fact that we are clear, we're working on the client's agenda of where they want to be. And of course, we ask questions. So we have a level of agenda, we have a level of assumption, a level of hypothesis around asking the right questions. If we think these questions we ask are going to be useful, because they've shown to be useful before, we'll ask them again. We can't say we have no expertise. There's a sharing of expertise. But what stands out is the fact that we are establishing very early on in a therapeutic relationship, very early on, what somebody wants, where somebody wants to be. And we focus all of our efforts on that, on looking for the instances of it happening, the exceptions where the problems don't exist, on questions that are interactional and observational around what those future scenarios look like, who else might notice them, and various other questions and ways of eliciting a rich description of the preferred future and the waypoints along the way. Sometimes people talk about, what steps would somebody have to take. I personally believe that's behavioural. Not that it's wrong, but it's not very solution focused. I think observational waypoints on the journey, bus stops on the journey, train stations, whichever metaphor you want to use. I'm not that creative. Is much more effective and much more solution focused in its question um, forming than asking what things people would need to do, which as I say is behavioural. So our view of a person being competent, our view that the person actually wants to look at something in the future, that's quite specific to solution focus. The other thing I think that makes solution focus stand out from other methods, from other modes, modalities, t- types of work, is the expansion of solution focused work outside of a therapy room. In fact, I've heard many critiques of solution focus in therapy. Um, and as a therapist, I, of course, like solution focused therapy and solution focused supervision. And I see the language of solution focus creeping out everywhere. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But I guess what's really important is that solution focus has stopped becoming just a therapy. Not that it was ever just a therapy, but actually, solution focused coaching is huge. Solution focused work in schools, solution focused work in social work, solution focused work in occupational therapy, solution focused work in the medical profession. All of these things have expanded much quicker and probably with more gusto and more um, advertisement, more promotion than the actual solution focused therapy world. And this interests me, and it makes solution focus stand out. It interests me because I don't think until recently, and there has been a spate recently of really good promotion around solution focus. I don't think solution focus has done itself many favors by its lack of advertising. If we take another therapy, look at CBT. CBT has had an absolute saturation of advertising, of research articles, of promotion, of getting in the media, being in different magazines. It's become popularized, e-learning, e-therapy, and so on. Solution focused therapy world has not done that very well. And it may be because we're a humble bunch. I'm not so humble. It's maybe because we haven't got in the right articles in the right journals. It may be because we haven't had a full-on media campaign, or it may be that there's no kind of real movement that's led by any particular body. Nonetheless, the non-therapy solution focused world has become huge, and I think we almost have to accept that the therapy side of solution focus is less than the rest now, and that's not a bad thing, because I think in the non-therapy world, I think we hear refinements, we hear adaptations that are actually useful to bring back to the therapy room. That being said, where does solution focused therapy go? It's not magic, um, and it is developing. We are starting to see, I think now, and I'm glad to say, we're starting to see a new generation of solution focused workers coming around. We're starting to see solution focused work coming out of areas of the world where it wasn't traditionally coming from. and we're starting to see people using um, using solution focused therapy as a platform for talking about ideas around social justice, and other important, I think, statements around the world. So I'm very hopeful about solution focused work, particularly solution focused therapy. I found that as I've gone on in the solution focused world, it's been almost easier to explain. It's become less magic. It's become less um, mystical. It's pretty simple. You establish very early on in working with somebody and talking to somebody what they would like to be different, what their best hopes from therapy are. You get a very, very rich description of that, and you continue to ask questions if you are allowed to. And by that, I mean, if you ask the right questions, you'll get an answer that leads you to another question. Elliot kind of is very good at describing this. Um, you keep asking questions that are related to the last answer, which is related to preferred futures, best hopes, desired outcomes. And that sticking to that agenda, sticking as close as you can to the client and what the client's preferred future is, that's what makes solution focus special. Not magical, although if you want to describe it as magical, you can. I'd say it's special. And I feel very privileged and honored to have learned more about solution focus over the years. And the next few videos, hopefully, will explore some of where solution focus is going. I do appreciate your comments and some of the debates that we've had. Keep them coming. I'm more than happy to take track somewhere else. I've got a few titles up my sleeve ready to talk about, but I will change tack if people want to. Have a great day, and just notice what's great about the day. Thanks very much. Bye.